the true sluggers of the game, Kyle, Schwarber. Kyle, when you growing up, who did you look up to? Who was your guy?
Yeah, growing up in Cincinnati, grew up kind of watching Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Larkin, obviously some more slugger there, like Adam Dunn, Jay Bruce, guys like that, growing up and, sitting in the bleachers and trying to go out there and catch some home run balls.
You study the game of baseball? Did you always, or you were fan?
I feel like, growing up, I knew that I liked it. I think once I got into college and, I went, I knew I wanted to play baseball. I got into college, played baseball in Indiana, and started understanding the game more. And that's when you start, paying attention to the game a little bit differently on TV in the big leagues than what you did probably in high school or growing up or something like that.
And the reason why I asked you that, because you said you're a big Red Machine, so I'm sure you must have followed the ball players, the George Forsters, the Pete Rose of the world, and all those superstars.
Oh yeah. Cincinnati was a really good place to kind of just grow up and watch baseball. You feel like you had, obviously great legends of the past, and then when I was growing up, there was a really good team there, and it was funny. I get to the big leagues, and I feel like all the guys I was watching in high school were still on the Reds. So pretty cool, surreal moment when you make that first start against them, and you're seeing all those guys out there that you played, you grew up watching.
Now, were you always a slugger, man? Because the reason why I asked you that is because we all know when you come up to bat what your intentions are, man. It's either we're gonna hit a home run. There's no, I don't think you send a picture of it. It's just we're gonna hit. Was that always the case?
Yeah, I feel like growing up, the hit tool and everything is, it was important, right? I didn't feel like I didn't start really developing power until it's probably in my early 20s or something like that. Don't get me wrong, I was strong and I hit for power, but wouldn't say exclusively just power. But I feel like me as a hitter, right? People can misconstrue what you're trying to do at the plate. Just because yes, I do hit. I do hit home runs, and the ball can come off your bat hot. I'm still looking at situations. I'm still looking at different aspects of the game. If it's calling for a runner to get over, or if it's calling for you to work in at bat, then that's what I'm gonna do. And I still take pride.
But basically, you go out there to swing, man. You
Sometimes, no. I mean, trust me. I feel like, for myself, people want to see. People like to say that, I like to go up there and try to hit home runs. I'm not trying to hit home runs at all. And I think that's a mindset for where I'm literally every time I go up to the plate, I'm trying to stay through the middle of the field, and the ball's going to go where the ball goes. And I think that's just something that I tell myself. And if it goes to right center, it goes to right center, right field, left field, whatever it is. But it's more the approach of the at bat and the approach of the game state that are big followers for me when I go to the plate.
Kyle, I once spoke to Pete Rose. I spoke to Rod Carew, and I'm gonna ask you the same question. Is it true that when things are going good, the game really does slow down? Can you, know, man, this is what's coming in, and you can laser in on it?
It does. The game does slow down, and it's funny, that I feel like that's the fun and challenging aspect of our game, to where things do go good, things feel like they come easy, you feel like you can go to the plate, you feel like the guy that's throwing 100 is throwing 90, and then things start speeding up or whatever it is, and you can feel like that 94 is playing 100, and then next thing you know, you're not swinging at the pitches that you want to swing at, and so that, I think that's the beautiful thing about our game, is to where you challenge yourself on a daily basis to try to not let your mind get to that point to where all you're doing is sped up, to where you can try, even if things aren't going A+, you can still keep it in that B range no matter what.
Now, in the minor leagues, or coming up through all baseball, did anybody ever try to say, with all the information I have now, listen, man, we got to change your swing a little bit. This is what you got to do when you've been slugging since probably Little League?
I think that I wouldn't say major swing adjustments. I would say there's always going to be minute swing adjustments throughout the course of your career. If you look at me and if you look from when I first came in the big leagues in 2015, and you look at every single year, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, or whatever, that it's going to look different. And that's one, making self-adjustments for yourself, and two, obviously adjusting with the game. The game just keeps adjusting every single year.
Right.
And, they say that, that, what I did last year was good, but how am I going to improve to the next year? Or how am I going to improve, from, say, I'm, in a, 10 for 50, like how am I going to improve, right? So you have to keep making adjustments throughout this game, because if you don't, the game's just going to pass you by.
Do you do that mentally also, making adjustments in your mind? This is before the game. I mean, how much of that preparation do you take in consideration?
All the time. A lot depends on who I'm facing and what their weapons are against me, and what their weapons would be against everyone else. And sometimes that I wouldn't say it's a swing change, but it might be a thought change, right? So say if it's
2-0.
Yeah, 2-0, right? My approach might be, okay, I'm going to get a little bit greedier, or say you get 2-1, then that backs off a little bit, but you're still staying aggressive. But it's just different things.
It's an everyday grind thing.
Yeah, it's just every situation calls for a different thought.
Listen, thanks a lot for your time and courtesy, brother.
Appreciate you guys.
And it's always a pleasure to see you play, man. You don't know how much happiness you bring me, man, when I come here.
Well,
it's just watching you taking batting practice, like I told you, it's a gift.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and trust me, it's every day that you get to come to work and you get to step in the baseball stadium, it's a great day.
Thank you for your time and courtesy. Be
Thank
safe.
you, guys. Have a good one, all right?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Aransi. I want you to subscribe to Las Cinco Esquinas.